I, 24 female, am a bit paranoid about money. I didn't grow up in poverty, but times were rough, and the idea of living paycheck to paycheck makes me uncomfortable. It's important to mention that now I have a stable, good-paying job, but I struggled a lot during college since my parents weren't able to save enough for my college fund. So I worked bad jobs, and I was constantly exhausted during those years. I still ended up with some debt, and I want to be free of it ASAP. It's also important to mention that I come from a pretty religious family. When I landed this job, I decided to start an emergency fund. I put aside a few $100s every month, so in case anything happens, I get sick, I lose my job, etc., I will not end up in more debt or even worse. The only people who know about it are my sister, who plans to start her own emergency fund after she graduates and lands a good job, and I. I 100% trust my sister, so I think my honor someone else overheard us talking about it. Now the issue is, my cousin's 22 male, girlfriend 22, is pregnant, and they decided to keep it, even though they know they can't afford it. None of them has a stable job, inheritance, anything. So a few days ago, he came to ask me to give him my emergency fund since he's having an emergency. I was speechless. I asked him what he was talking about, even though I knew, but I couldn't believe someone could have this audacity. He told me he knew I had some savings and he desperately needed them. He didn't mention giving the money back. I told him those are my savings for when I'm having an emergency, but he pulled the Family Helps Family card. I still said no. While I understand they're in a difficult situation, I still think it's unfair that I'm asked to pay for his mistakes. I told them they should think more about what they're going to do in the future and how they're going to support this child if none of them has a stable income. Even if I give them my savings, that money's not enough for only a few months for me, for a family of 3 even less. I didn't mention termination, adoption, or anything, just that they're irresponsible for having a kid when none of them is financially stable. He eventually left me alone but started telling the rest of the family that I told him to get rid of the baby, which was not true. My parents and my sister were on my side, but the rest of the family started harassing us and calling me a godless witch. So, am I the idiot for keeping my savings? What? Not the idiot. I would laugh in his face too. Why is your cousin entitled to your emergency fund to compensate for his poor life planning and irresponsibility? You don't owe him anything. The best way to help him wouldn't be giving him handouts, but offering to help buy some baby necessities, like clothes, diapers, a crib, etc. But that's if you want to. I wouldn't get into buying stuff for him. He sounds like the type of person who'll just view that as a green light to request items from OP, rather than see what he can get for free, or at a low cost online or from charities, or the church that his family's so very fond of. Surely they can help. Agree. His lack of planning is not your emergency. Also, his emergency is going to last 18 years. If his family thinks you're so awful, why aren't they handing over their own cash? I'm a bit surprised your pretty religious family didn't give your cousin an earful for getting his girlfriend pregnant, since they're not married yet. He should have kept it in his pants if he couldn't afford a kid. It's not even an emergency. He can get a job now and start saving. The fact that he's lying about what you said tell you even he knows he's wrong and is trying to manipulate everyone. Not a great plan to support an upcoming child. Stick to your guns. Your cousin can take out a loan or get money from the relatives who think you're such a witch for contributing the exact same amount they are. 0. I, 32 male, am engaged to Jessie, 30 female. We've been together for 7 years and have been trying for a baby for the past 2. Originally, I planned to propose during a family dinner at a Michelin star restaurant, so I paid for 12 people to be there, including hers and my family. I made the booking nearly 10 months ago. However, plans changed and I've since proposed during one of our holidays, as the time felt more right. 2 months before the dinner, we found out that Jessie's pregnant. I was beyond happy to hear that, so we decided to use the dinner to announce the pregnancy instead, alongside talking about wedding preparations. The place is rather high-end, so it has a strict dress code and set of rules to follow. Dinner was yesterday. My sister Emily decided to bring my nephew Kit with her, who's still breastfed and is currently teething. He's an infant. So instead of celebrating Jessie's pregnancy, many people were feeling uncomfortable due to my nephew crying nearly constantly, and the restaurant owner at some point asked us to leave since kids were not allowed and my nephew was disturbing other guests. I had no choice but to ask Emily to leave. She was hesitant at first. However, I reminded her of the rules of the place, and in no way or form did she contact me to ask if it would be okay to bring Kit with her. She's tried to defend herself, saying that he's young, but her boyfriend, who's also the father, could have stayed with Kit since he finishes work at 4. I've also told Emily how disappointed I was with what she did, as she ruined the dinner by bringing Kit to a place not made for kids. Emily didn't like that and left. The rest of the dinner went okay-ish, but I could feel the tension. Later that night, my mom and aunt wasn't present as she lives far away and can't really travel, both called me to say that what I did was an idiot move, and Emily's now upset, and I need to apologize. Jessie's upset too, but because she felt like everyone paid attention to Kit and was trying to calm him down, instead of congratulating us or discussing the wedding, what the dinner was about. So, am I the idiot? Edit. The family members were sent a set of rules from the place, so they knew there would be an announcement and no kid rule. My future brother-in-law and my other brother also have young children, which they didn't bring, and hired a babysitter or asked a friend to look after, so they were aware the place doesn't allow young children. Not the idiot. I have kids. Some places are not kid-friendly. I don't take my kids there. Not everything is about being a parent, and having a teething baby doesn't mean you have an excuse to force others to endure your child fussing in an adult-only space. I doubt she would try to take her baby clubbing with her just because she's breastfeeding. Plus, the baby's father could have taken him. He's teething, not grafted to his mother. Gosh, I hate people who are so obsessed about kids that they call everyone who doesn't particularly like them or want them around a children hater. Nothing about this is discrimination. It's a fact that children make a lot of noise and are erratic, so they simply don't fit into specific environments. I think it's great there are kid-free restaurants, spas, and hotels. There are also many parents who agree with this. Imagine saving up to have a date night with your partner, away from your kids, just to be annoyed by screaming children in a spa or a restaurant. There are enough family-friendly places. OP, you gave Emily the rule that no children were allowed, and she brought her baby anyway. That's just rude. My boyfriend was buying his first car from a dealership. He asked if I could do the talking since I bought a few cars, so I got to work. I found several dealerships in the area selling the car he wanted and asked him to get a bank loan to cover the cost. I called them all on recorded lines and started price negotiations on the phone. Then I called the best ones back a few extra times, made sure I talked to a different person, and asked about all their taxes and fees. Surprise, they changed every call. My boyfriend hadn't been involved in the process till the day we went to test drive our first pick. In the middle of the test drive, I did a full mechanical inspection, marked every issue, and priced out the repair. During this, the dealer called my boyfriend, asking how long we'd be out, and he was kind of stressed. When he returned, I started negotiating along the lines of, the price we agreed on was for a car you said was in good condition, but this needs all this work. It took a while, and the dealer got irritated about arguing every mechanical flaw, but he did end up lowering the price a bit. He kept pushing to talk about financing, which I had been stalling on, so I started pretending to be considering a long-term loan to negotiate further down the purchase price. He said he couldn't go any lower on the purchase price, so I suggested my boyfriend and I leave for lunch and talk it over. At the diner, I asked my boyfriend just to let me do the talking, because sometimes an awkward silence works wonders. When we were at the diner, we got a call back that they could go lower, so we returned to the dealership and said we'd do it. We were taken to the finance office. They were irritated when they found out my boyfriend already had a loan. They'd given us that price assuming we'd take their financing. I held firm that we'd agreed on a price in writing, and it wasn't conditional on financing. Then when it got to the extra fees, they'd inflated them for me. So I pulled out the recording of the cheapest set of costs an employee promised me. They got irritated, and I stayed firm, saying I was willing to walk away if they were going to bait and switch me. So we got it, but the dealer and finance guy were very cold and rushed us out after closing. Immediately after we left the dealership, my boyfriend got upset with me, and he said that that was the most uncomfortable thing ever, and that I had been a witch, and he didn't know I'd argue all day with them, He was so stressed when we were sitting there in tense silence, waiting for the other to fold first. I got frustrated and snapped at him because I felt like I'd done a lot of work at his request, and he wasn't appreciative. Am I the idiot for how I negotiated the price of my boyfriend's car? Not the idiot. Women, generally speaking, already feel reluctant to negotiate compared to how comfortable men are with it. Also, car dealerships try to pull the wool over women buyers, so good for you for making your voice heard. He asked you to negotiate the best possible price you could. What did he think was going to happen? You'd show up and the dealer would roll over for you? It sounds like you did exactly what was asked and did it exceedingly well. Congratulations. And I am in awe of your negotiating prowess. Right. And if the boyfriend wanted to chicken out and just be nice and pay more money, he could have done that at any time. Instead, he let OP do all the work and then complained once it was all done and he got his car. Oh my God, I love it. I would die for a partner that would do all the talking for me. And not just that, but do it so well that I walk away with a benefit. I'd be forever grateful. Seriously, I can't believe the boyfriend is mad that OP did too good of a job helping him. What does he think happened here? Weaponized competence? OP should think twice before doing him such a big favor again. He sounds ungrateful. I am female, but I struggle with a lot of insecurity and jealousy over my sister, who's one of the most physically beautiful people I've ever seen. She's a natural head turner, and I wish it didn't bother me, but it does. She has advantages in life that most people can only dream of. Yesterday, she was on the phone in her room and I heard her on FaceTime complaining about how difficult her routine is, how much money it cost her, and how she has to wake up so early. I started banging on the wall to tell her to stop. She came busting into my room without knocking, saying, "What is your problem? I'm on my phone." I told her she was my problem, and I was sick of hearing her complain because every one of her advantages in life is because of good luck and good genetics, and no one wants to hear her complain. She told me to buzz off and I heard her crying in the hall. Then my mom came in and said I needed to apologize to her, that Sarah's way more insecure than I know. I said, that's crap. I'll never be fully accepted by myself or other people, and she needs to recognize how hard it is for me to hear her talk like that, because for me, this is real. For her, it's just playing dress up. My mom said that I'm really pushing it, and basically I'm 18. Sophia's younger, and if I can't figure out a way to be nice to her, I need to move into the dorms. I told her only 2 things happen to girls like me when they move into the dorms, and it sucks my mom's taking her side. My mom said I was exhausting, which is her code for an idiot, and left. Was I the idiot here? You are the idiot, sour grapes. Get a grip. If you think your looks put you at a disadvantage, adding a crappy personality is a bold strategy. Best of luck to your sister having to put up with you. OP, get over your jealousy and pettiness and start working on your insecurities. Yes, it's a fact that genetically people are prettier than others, but routine also plays a big thing. Diet, skincare, and grooming also play a huge factor. You've now become an adult. It's time to act like it and stop taking out your insecurities on your sister, who's still a kid. It's true when people say that the inside also plays a part in beauty, and yours is looking ugly right now. Agree. Just because a girl is pretty, it doesn't mean she's free from her own insecurities. Sophia was having a conversation with her friend, and you decided to involve yourself and make her feel bad. You need to work on being comfortable with yourself and not take it out on others for living their life. My 38 male, daughter, teen, lives with me full time. I married my now wife, Susie, 35, and we dated for 5 years, but she constantly clashed with Anna because of their personalities. Anna's a good kid, responsible, kind, and helps around, but she's overall an introvert who doesn't like to be around people that much and enjoys her time alone in her room, while Susie's the opposite. She loves socializing, doing stuff with people she loves, etc. She always invites Anna to help her cook and bake, do some gardening, etc., since they're both home most of the time, but Anna always says no. Susie has ADHD. Anna always tells Susie off because she thinks she overwhelms her with the constant need to be around her. After all, Susie tends to knock at her door too much. She sometimes barges in, and she feels she forces her to spend time together because if Anna's in the living room, the kitchen, or in the garden reading, Susie sits next to her and starts to talk, and then gets sad because she doesn't like to be around her. We've attended family therapy, and Anna's doing her solo sessions. I've also told Susie that Anna's privacy and solo time should be respected, but I don't think that it's a good thing that Anna refuses any contact with Susie, and I don't think she's even trying at all. Anna has explained that being around Susie tries her quicker than any other person because she knows my wife wishes she were more expressive and talkative, and it makes her uncomfortable. Yesterday I came home early, and I overheard Anna yelling at Susie to get out of her room. I went to see what was happening, and Anna was pushing Susie out. She said that Susie just knocked and let herself in, like she always does, while she was getting dressed. Susie was apologizing and saying that she forgot the rule, but Anna said she was tired and that dealing with Susie is worse than dealing with a small kid. This made Susie cry, and I said it wasn't nice of her, and I grounded her with a week with no phone. She's not talking to me right now, and I wonder if I was wrong, because she's never given me the cold shoulder. Okay, let me get this straight. You grounded your daughter for being upset that your wife barged in on her while she was changing, and instead of immediately going, "Oops, sorry," she tried to strike up a conversation with your daughter while half naked, instead of getting onto your wife for not respecting your daughter's boundaries. By the way, this isn't an ADHD problem. ADHD is not an excuse to be barging into people's private spaces without invitation. This is a your wife choosing not to respect boundaries problem. You are the idiot, OP. I feel sorry for Anna. I felt exhausted just reading this. I can't imagine the utter nightmare it would have to be to deal with someone like Susie. I don't exaggerate when I say that I'd probably be in tears from frustration. I'd probably try to take an hours-long bath so that I could be guaranteed, hopefully, some privacy. I came here to say the same thing. Poor Anna. I couldn't imagine someone barging into my room while dressing and then crying when they get kicked out. It's not even just remembering to knock. It's remembering to knock and then waiting for permission to enter. Also, she's a 35-year-old woman. This should not be a new concept. What the heck is wrong with the father for allowing his wife to act this way? OP, how about your wife gets to know your daughter as she is, not who she wants her to be? Honestly, the daughter's the most emotionally mature person in this household, so I wouldn't be surprised if your daughter decides to go no contact when they turn 18, if you keep allowing this.